sun, dust flies high when the race is won. The rubber burns on the asphalt plain, full throttle outlaws breaking the chain. We're the kings of the open track, no looking forward, no turning back. Adrenaline pumping, hearts in the lead, full throttle outlaws built for speed. Steel beasts crowd the thunderstorm, in the heat of the fight we take our form. The flag waves high as the green light call, we live for the rush, the rise, the fall. We're the kings of the open track, no looking forward, no turning back. Adrenaline pumping, hearts in the lead, full throttle outlaws built for speed. Steel beats growl like a thunderstorm, in the heat of the fight we take our form. The flag waves high as the green light call, we live for the rush, the rise, the fall. We're the kings of the open track, no looking forward, no turning back. Adrenaline pumping, hearts in the lead, full throttle outlaws built for speed. Racing the night, chasing the glow, tires screaming with nowhere to go. Victory sweet, but the fight's the prize for the outlaws, the road never lies. We're the kings of the open track, no looking forward, no turning back. Adrenaline pumping, hearts in the lead, full throttle outlaws built for speed. Built for speed. Built for speed. The engines roar on the blazing sun, dust flies high when the race is won. The rubber burns on the asphalt plain, full throttle outlaws breaking the chain. We're the kings of the open track, no looking forward, no turning back. Adrenaline pumping, hearts in the lead, full throttle outlaws built for speed. Steel beasts crowd the thunderstorm, in the heat of the fight we take our form. The flag waves high as the green light call, we live for the rush, the rise, the fall. We're the kings of the open track, no looking forward, no turning back. Adrenaline pumping, hearts in the lead, full throttle outlaws built for speed. Steel beats growl like a thunderstorm, in the heat of the fight we take our form. The flag waves high as the green light call, we live for the rush, the rise, the fall. We're the kings of the open track, no looking forward, no turning back. Adrenaline pumping, hearts in the lead, full throttle outlaws built for speed. Racing the night, chasing the glow, tires screaming with nowhere to go. Victory sweet, but the fight's the prize for the outlaws, the road never lies. We're the kings of the open track, no looking forward, no turning back. Adrenaline pumping, hearts in the lead, full throttle outlaws built for speed. Built for speed.
Woo! Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in. As we get ready to rock and roll, we get ready to rumble here this evening from the beautiful Phoenix, Raceway here this evening. It's actually the technical Phoenix International Speedway here, as this is the Legacy Phoenix racetrack where we actually have the grass down on the infield. The dog leg isn't really a thing here, as the front straightaway is now the old front straightaway, not back there where quarter 1 and 2 used to be, as that turned to 3 and 4. So the track is a whole lot different than what we normally see nowadays here at Phoenix Speedway. So this is going to make things very, very interesting, very, very funny. You do see that beautiful flag stand up here on the front stretch here down the straightaway here at Phoenix Raceway, which is now known as the back straightaway here at Phoenix. I don't know why they ever changed this track, as it was perfect the way it was. As we'll get these drivers ready to rumble, they'll get ready to go to battle here in this one, as the always amazing Full Throttle Outlaws are ready to duke it out, ready to go to battle here tonight. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, as the racing action is about to get underway. 156 laps to battle it out here tonight, as each and every one of these drivers looking to try to put themselves up and into victory lane. Not a big field of cars, but it's not about how big the pack is. It's about the quality of the racers that are out there on the speedway, and we got some very, very good drivers. A lot of fast cats, a lot of great talented drivers here this evening, ready to rumble, ready to mix it up and try to put themselves up and into victory lane here this evening. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you came here for a show, well, here you go, as our A main about to get underway in just a few more moments. As we will take a look through the field here, starting on the pole, it will be the 78 ride. That is Kyle Gray. Gray will start in the pole position. There he is, loaded into the sim. There's that Snap-on Tool 78 machine. Christian Strader there in position number 2. Strader looking for a good run again here this evening, as the 49 rider Scott Rankin rolls there in position number 3. The GOAT Racing Diecast number 23, that is Charles Van Schaik. Van Schaik back there in position number 4 with Colton Hardy, the winning bid 97 ride, rounding out our top 5. To his outside in the beautiful number 36 ride, it's Stephen Littrell, as Littrell there in position number 6. Then we see the Discount Tire Dodge, the 87 ride of Joe Yakes. To his outside will be that 32 of Hunter Carlson. Carlson will start there in position number 8 in that beautiful Studio 86 ride. And then we see the number 18, Evan Schilling. Schilling will start back there in 9th and running out our top 10 in the Taco Bell Mobile 1 number 5 ride. It is Rusty Modesty. Starting back in position number 11 is going to be Jesse Calloway. Back behind him in the 92, that is the Scooby-Doo ride. That is Clinton Woodby. Clinton back there in that 92 ride here this evening. Keith Prince up and in the admin booth, making sure the drivers are ready to rock and roll, ready to go to battle here today. As here we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Our A-main feature event about to get underway, as our pace car will get ready to make the hard left-hand turn down pit side there at core number 4 here at Legacy Phoenix International Speedway, and that will set this field loose. As down across the line, we'll see that green flag fly as we end all the anticipation with our feature presentation. It's Kyle Gray out in front, who will lead us down through 1 and out of 2. He'll take us down the back straightaway, as here you see that dog leg is not a thing here at the Legacy Phoenix International Speedway. So that is a sometimes a good thing, sometimes a bad thing. The dog leg really added a different layer, a different aspect to the racing here at Phoenix. But man, oh man, oh man, it feels so good to be back here at the Legacy Phoenix and seeing what we all grew up watching here in Phoenix. As you do see the 78 rider Kyle Gray leading lap number 1. Christian Schrader trying to stay right there with them, as here comes Scott Rankin, Charles Van Schaik, Joe Yanks there in 5th. Colton Hardy back in 6th, as unfortunately we do see Hardy and Stephen Luttrell, unfortunately, both falling back a couple spots early in this race. Evan Schilling up a couple spots here in that beautiful radar scope number 18 ride, as he's up into position number 9. Jesse Calloway there in 10th, as we do see Rusty Modesty, Clinton Woodby both back here in the 11th and 12th position. As Not a big field, but a good field. Here this evening, a lot of very, very talented drivers, a lot of fast cats out there on the racetrack. We got multiple drivers that are over the, that 4,000 or 5,000 I rating area. We got a few drivers in that 3,000 section, and only a few that are in that 2,500 area, as the lowest I rating out there is Hunter Carlson with a 2334. Now getting up to that 2,300 area, even with the I rating here in iRacing, is not an easy task. It takes a lot of time. It takes some great races, and you got to be able to keep yourself consistent out there on the speedway, and that just shows you the talent that these drivers have out there on the racetrack and how strong this field is, as the highest I rating driver is that 78 ride of Kyle Gray. Gray's a 5,300 I rating driver out there on the racetrack, and he has given up that race lead now to the 29 of Christian Strader. Strader able to take that race lead away from him and put that Reese's ride up at the front of the field here in Phoenix. His last time around, Christian not only laid down his quickest lap time, but it was the quickest lap of this race there on lap number 4. We'll see if you can find a little more speed here on lap number 5, or if anyone can try to close that gap and try to hunt him down here in the early portion of this race. Is down across the line again. Not the fastest lap on the racetrack, as in the quickest lap altogether, but he was the quickest out of every one of those drivers back there behind him. As Strader continues the lead, it's Kyle Gray right there at second. Kyle trying to keep that snap on 78 ride, pointing the right direction, trying to keep that 49 ride back there at bay. Scott Rankin rolls there in position number 3 on the speedway. Charles Van Schaik there in 4th as the GOAT iRacing, or the GOAT Racing diecast number 23 ride, rolling there in that 4th position. He's looking to try to drive his way up and potentially battle for this race win, as Joe Yanks rounding out our top 5. It's going to be interesting to see a lot of laps. This could be a very long race with all the laps that we have to do here this evening, but we could see a lot of drivers either run into issues, just losing those tires, having some slides out there on the racetrack. Tire wear could play a major factor in the strategy here this evening, and that fuel consumption always going to be in the calculators here for these drivers, trying to figure out how far they can go, how long they want to push it, and how do they set themselves up nicely to either save fuel and make it a little longer than everybody else and use it to their advantage, where they can maybe stop one last time and maybe put themselves up and into victory lane, or just try to maybe short pit maybe a once or twice and try to leapfrog some drivers with the fresher tires. So all the strategy is going to be playing out here this evening, and we may not even see a yellow flag here this evening, because these guys are just that good. A lot of fast drivers, a lot of fast cats out there on the racetrack here in these Gen 4 NASCAR Cup cars. So these things are from quite a while ago. The Gen 4 cars, I do believe that was before the Car of Tomorrow, I do believe. I believe the Car of Tomorrow came out after these. So these are more like your 2004, 2005 style of race cars here this evening that these Gen 4 Cup cars are running here today, as the 29 of Christian Strader continues to lead the way. It's Kyle Gray back there in second. Now, tire wear could play a factor, so for some of these drivers, maybe try to take it a little easier, try to roll out there on the throttle and not spin these tires, not get too sideways out there on the racetrack, because this is the old racing surface, so it hasn't been repaved. It's old concrete, it's got some cracks, it's got its wears and tears, and unfortunately it chews up those tires a little bit quicker than what the new Phoenix Raceway does. So you're going to be very, very cautious. You're going to be very interested to see kind of how these tires are going to handle a longer run here today, especially no dog leg, no nothing like that. You got to run the full length of this racetrack. You can't cut the course, and you got to try to just hit your marks and try to keep your car pointed in the right directions. You can do some slipping and sliding around in a quick hurry in these race cars, and that's exactly what you don't want to do, as you don't want to burn those tires up too early. You don't want to use them up and abuse them here early in the race, so you got to be very, very cautious on how you're maneuvering, how you're making moves out there on the racetrack. Is already 11 laps complete here this evening, and it's Christian Strader out in front after Kyle Gray led about the first 2 or 3 laps. The 29 ride took over that race lead, and he's been trying to pull away ever since then, as Eric Hardy, what's good, Eric? Eric coming in, showing the love, says watching that 97 rolling, baby. Let's go, he says. Let's go. Yes, Sirski's Colton Hardy a little further back here. Colton back in position number 8. He fell back 3 spots from the starting position here this evening. Started up in that 5th position. Now back in position number 8. But he's one of those drivers that tends to be very, very smart, trying to either take care of those tires early in the run or just trying to use it to strategize out there on the racetrack. And for right now, the 97 machine falling back 3 spots. He's the driver that's lost the most positions here so far in this race. We did see Rusty Modesty also have some issues. Looks like Modesty is taking that car off of the racetrack and down behind pit wall. Looks like some connection issues for that number 5, right, as he's only completed about 7 laps of racing action here this evening. Now back about 3 laps or better, or 6 laps or better out there on the racetrack. So tough break there for Rusty. Definitely not what we want to see out of our drivers, losing connection here this evening, especially after only having 12 cars start this race and 11 left out there. So we'll have to wait and see if he slides back out onto the racetrack, see if he keeps on rolling here this evening. But for right now, it is a great battle out there on the racetrack for position number 2 as Kyle Gray continues to try to hold off this number 49 rider, Scott Rankin. Rankin right there with him, and we haven't even hit green flag pit stops. As pit stops could be around the horizon here in a quick hurry for these drivers. We should be able to make it, I want to say 40, 50 laps or so on a tank of fuel, so really could be a 2 pit stop race, but I think tire wear going to play a major factor, and drivers are probably going to try to break this up a little bit more, maybe run that 45 area, trying to go somewhere in that time frame. That puts you down pit road around lap number 90-ish or so, somewhere in there, and then maybe make a move down pit side, maybe try to move yourself forward a little bit more and making that late race pit stop around, lap 120, lap 125, somewhere in there. Try to use those extra fresh tires to your advantage out there on the racetrack, as we did see some issues back here for Joe Yates. Yates, our 5th place driver, unfortunately, looks like he's going to get off the track here a little bit. Let's take a look right there. What would be the dog leg, unfortunately, now has grass on it, being the Legacy Auto Club here now, as the beautiful old style of Phoenix Raceway here, the Legacy edition of it for what it used to be. And you see the 87 just unfortunately get a little loose from what would be the dog leg up on the high side of the racetrack. And as he kind of gets in there, tries to make that corner, slide sideways down through the grass. That's all pavement now in real life racing, and then obviously going through that grass, cannot get onto the binders quick enough, washes up the racetrack, puts that Dodge into the outside fence. Luckily enough, able to catch it, keep it rolling, but a little bit of damage and lost a couple of spots out there on the racetrack. Went from 5th all the way back now into the 8th position, as he has fallen back quite a few spots. We'll have to keep an eye on that and see where he's able to keep on rolling, if he's able to get back into that hunt and try to work himself back up inside the top 5. As Christian Schrader continues to lead the way, Schrader out in front leading this race, as that 29 ride right now has about a second gap between himself and Kyle Gray. Gray trying to hang there with him, but he's also trying to hold off that 49 ride as Scott Rankin is looking to try to move up into position number 2 on the racetrack. He's been right there, a car length or 2 behind the 78 ride for multiple laps now. As down across the line, we do have 19 laps done here. It'll be 20 laps next time by the start finish line here on the old front straightaway here at Phoenix Raceway, as we see the 29 ride now heading down through corner 3 and out of corner number 4 and down this front straightaway out and across the start finish line for that 29 ride. There it is, down across the line. We got 20 laps complete, still a lot of racing action left to go here in this one, as we do see Joe Yanks having more issues. Let's take a look again here. Yanks again through the same area. Gets loose again, loses that rear end, slides it through there, goes through the grass right here again. Virtually the same as we saw early on. And for that 87, unfortunately coming back onto the racetrack, the conversion dirty tires right there, a little bit of grass and mud on them, and unfortunately that car just spins around again. Luckily enough, no caution flag. We keep it clean and green, and he keeps on rolling out there on the racetrack, but does fall back into the 11th position, and now quite a ways back behind everybody else is Evan Schilling. Schilling also running into problems here. This could be the problem area right there out at corner number 1. Oh, baby, look out. Got a little air right there. Let's take another look back at that one, as that was a wild jump right there for that 18 ride. Alrighty. Here he is, that radar scope right. There he is, getting loose on corner exit, then down through the infield right there, and ends up hitting the road course stanchions right here, and whoop! Oh, baby, got some good air. That's a good long jump right there. Able to land it perfectly, keep on rolling, and luckily enough, able to avoid any serious damage or contact there for that 18 ride. Now, he did give up a few spots there and slide back to position number 10 on the racetrack. So a couple drivers running into problems out there on the racetrack here. We talked about it on the top of the show, that tire wear and that kind of strategy to kind of save these tires on the longer run is probably what's going to put you into a winning situation, as Christian Schrader continues to lead the way here, just over a second between himself and Kyle Gray. Gray had closed that gap by about 2/10 there. We got very loose out at core number 2 himself, was able to catch it, keep that car pointing in the right direction and out of trouble, and able to hang on to position number 2 is Scott Rankin right there behind him. But if you can take it easy, if you don't burn these tires up, and you can lay down a lot of good fast laps out there on the racetrack with very minimal caution flags, you could put a lot of these other drivers a lap down in a quick hurry. As Yates back there in 11th, he is the next driver to potentially go a lap down as he heads down into corner number 4 and down across the start finish line. Christian Schrader not too far back behind him here, about a straightaway back from that number 87. And for Joe Yates, he's got to be very careful, very conscious about what he does, where he maneuvers out there on the racetrack to try to keep himself out of trouble here in this one. As there is the caution flag. Caution flag will come out here in this one, as I do believe that is going to be our first stage coming to a close, as the number 29 ride down across the start finish line. It is Christian Schrader. Schrader will pick up stage win number 1 here this evening. So the first stage win going to the 29 ride. Heck of a run, heck of a drive so far here this evening. And man, this car has been looking very good all day long, as stage breaks at the completion of lap 25 and lap 75. Stage points to the top 10 here. So for Schrader, he gets the most stage points, potentially a bonus point as well for the playoffs. And then we saw Kyle Gray right there in second. Another good run there for Kyle Gray as he comes home in position number 2 out there on the racetrack. Scott Rankin, Charles Van Schaik, Hunter Carlson, Colton Hardy, Stephen Luttrell, Jesse Calloway, Colton Woodby, Evan Schilling rounding out our top 10, all earning some stage points here this evening. Unfortunately for Joe Yanks, he is on the outside looking in here of some stage points here this evening, but luckily enough does get a chance to reel back in. The rest of the field does not go a lap down and able to keep on battling here. He's going to look to try to get some work done to that number 87 ride, hoping to slide back out there onto the racetrack as the 29 of Christian Schrader continues to lead the way. Schrader out in front and now heading down pit side. He's looking to make a quick pit stop here, trying to keep all these drivers back there at bay as we'll get ready to set them back loose. We'll get ready to go back to battle in just a few more moments. Alrighty, we got them all down pit road. Everyone making a good pit stop right there during this first stage break. Having that chance to throw on some fresh tires. Having that chance to try to work on your race car. Make sure things are absolutely perfect and ready to rock and roll here. This next stage going to be twice as long as that first stage. So it's double the run, it's double the trouble, and potentially double that tire wear and fuel consumption here this evening. So you got to be very very cautious. Got to make sure that you keep your eye on the prize here, trying to make sure you don't make any mistakes, especially out there on the racetrack. If you got to make green flag pit stops, or if you spin the tires here on the restart, or make contact with somebody, just trying to keep yourself clean and out of trouble is the name to the game. And they could come home with a good solid run if you just keep yourself out of issues here this evening. So here we go. Back to green flag racing. Scott Rankin, great jump there on that outside lane. The 29 of Christian Schrader right down to his inside. They're door to door for the race lead, and the 49 right looking to use that middle lane early on here in this one to take over position number 1 out there on the racetrack. And Schrader down low. The 49 right of Scott Rankin up on the high side. They're door to door down through 3 and out of 4. Back down across the start finish line. I see the 29 getting a little loose there on corner exit, and that's going to be something to watch. As there you go, the 49 right of Scott Rankin out in front, able to lead that lap here at Phoenix International Speedway. And Scott Rankin continue to lead this race. It's Christian Schrader who slides back to second. Kyle Gray there in third with Charles Van Schaik, Colton Hardy, Hunter Carlson, Clinton Woodby, Joe Yates, Jesse Calloway, and Stephen Luttrell rounding out our top 10 here in this one. Evan Schilling back there in 11th. Unfortunately for Rusty, Modesty has taken his car back down behind pit wall and off of the racing surface here this evening. Not the spot that any driver wants to be, especially this early in the race, and that's a heartbreaker there for Rusty here this evening. It's Scott Rankin, though. Rankin out in front, continue to lead the way. After using that perfect restart and able to get a great jump, this 49 ride continues to show these drivers how to get it done here in this one. Is down across the line. They will click off lap number 32 here this evening. Still a lot of racing left to go. Still a lot of time and opportunities for drivers to either move forward or fall backwards out there on the racetrack. And you want to be doing the first thing, not the second thing. You don't want to be going backwards. Unfortunately, though, a few drivers have to here this evening for other drivers to move forward and put themselves up here at the front of the field of battle for the win here today. It's tire wear. We did see some pretty serious tire wear during that first green flag run. Even though it was only 25 laps, we saw probably about a second and a half of tire wear out there on the speedway. So when we start to add in that 30, 40, 50 lap run, it really starts to tear up these tires. It really starts to make these guys struggle out there on the racetrack. And that's where we could see more and more drivers losing that rear end, going for slides down through the grass and just trying to hang on to their race cars here this evening. And Scott Rankin, Christian Schrader 1 and 2 out there on the racetrack. Kyle Gray there in third. Charles Van Schaik, Colton Hardy, our top 5 out there on the racetrack is Hardy in that beautiful winning bid 97 ride, rolling there now just inside the top 5, right back to where he started this race this evening. As he fell back early on about 3 spots, was rolling back in the 8th position there for a little while, but now being able to rebound and race his way up inside the top 5 once again. We'll have to wait and see if this winning bid diecast and cards number 97 ride can race his way up to the front of the field here, maybe battle for this win here today. Is right in front of him is Charles Van Schaik. Van Schaik having a solid run so far here this evening. Kyle Gray, we saw early on jump out in front, lead some laps, and was the fastest car out there for a couple laps until the 29 ride of Christian Schrader took over, and now the 49 ride of Scott Rankin out in front, and he is overranking everybody as he is now our commander-in-chief, our race leader, the guy that everyone else is looking to beat here this evening as the 49 rolls out in front, only about 0.3 of a second back there behind him for that 29 ride of Christian Schrader. Kyle Gray there in third with Charles Van Schaik, Colton Hardy, our top 5. Hunter Carlson there in number 6, and then we see Jesse Calloway, Stephen Luttrell, Clinton Woodby, and Evan Schilling rounding out our top 10. Joe Yates back there in position number 12, and unfortunately Rusty Modesty has exited the racing surface here this evening, and for Keith Prince, he is the admin up in the booth, making the calls here, making sure the drivers stay cool, calm, and collective out there on the racetrack, and giving us any insight there on some of the caution flags that could be displayed here this evening. And Scott Rankin, though, Rankin continuing to rank up the laps lat here this evening as he is out in front looking to try to hold that that 29 ride back there at bay. Is everyone doing a great job battling here this evening? Each and every one of these competitors out there on the racetrack just laying down some great laps here this evening. Some very, very fast cats out there on the racetrack, and it's going to come down to probably that fuel in those tires here late in this race. Let's take a look and see. Let's take a look and see if there was any tire info here. Race info, there we go. Okay, looks like 6 sets of tires. So they do have 6 sets of tires. That's quite a bit here for Phoenix Raceway. Now, they did run a 25-lap run. We'll have to wait and see how long they tend to, kind of roll out there for this second stage here this evening. Obviously double the length of that first stage. We saw how much that tire wear was and how much it may play a factor here late in this run to see who can try to pick up that green and white checkered flag, as you do start to see that 78 rider Kyle Gray. Kyle quickly closing the gap there and reeling both Rankin and Strider are down here this evening as Charles Van Schaik rolls there in 4th. Then we see Colton Hardy, Jesse Calloway, Stephen Luttrell, Clinton Woodby, Evan Schilling, and now Joe Yanks. Yanks! Heavy damage here on the Yanks ride. Let's take a look back and see what happens as the Discount Tire 87 machine. Oh no, looks like maybe more of the same here, getting loose through that dog leg, and unfortunately, as he does lose that rear end, gets into the grass right there. He's trying to collect it, but that dirt on those tires, and now he's just kind of getting into a bit of a power slide. Could not roll out of it, and unfortunately gets up, tanks that outside fence. Heavy damage there for the 87 machine, as he'll take that car down pit side and look to hopefully get that thing repaired. They may have to pull the back out car off of the hauler and put him in that one and let him get back out there, as right now he is back in the 11th position, and unfortunately now going at least a lap, maybe multiple laps down here in this one, as Scott Rankin able to keep on leading this race. Christian Schrader right there on his back bumper, not letting him run away with it, trying to stay there, trying to see if he can race his way back around that 49 ride here today, as Kyle Gray sees them both right there getting ready to go to battle, start to throw some big moves. He's hoping to close that gap and get into the fight here himself here this evening. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys are just tuning in and you haven't already, make sure you guys do us a favor, man. Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button, as Kyle Gray there in 3rd. Charles Van Schaik back in 4th, with Colton Hardy rounding out our top 5. Hunter Carlson, great run here for that Studio 68 machine, or 86 machine, the Studio 86, number 32 ride out there on the racetrack, rolling pretty solidly just outside the top 5 right now, as Jesse Calloway, Stephen Luttrell, and that number 92 Clinton Woodby not too far back there behind him. We do see Evan Schilling right there, as well as the 18 ride rolls there in position number 9, as Clinton Woodby right there behind him. Then we see Joe Yanks back in position number 11. Good to see Yanks able to get that car back out there onto the racing surface. Unfortunately, he did go about a lap down here, and almost 2 laps down out there on the racetrack, as our race leader is not too far back there behind him. He's hoping to see a couple quick caution flags and a couple opportunities for himself to roll back onto the lead lap here this evening. Is out in front, it is this 49 rider, Scott Rankin. Rankin continues to lead the way. Christian Schrader right there in 2nd. Kyle Gray, Charles Van Schaik, our top 5. Let's see if we can jump on board here with this 29 rider, Christian Schrader. Schrader, they're in position number 2 on the racetrack here this evening. As that scared the heck out of me, as Loppy coming in with that follow over on Twitch. Welcome to the Peacemaker family. Welcome to the Peacemaker crew here in this one, as Loppy 100%. Loppy 876Y. Account created 5 minutes ago, and that's a bot, and you're banned. Get fucked. As here we go, continue to battle here. It is starting to tighten up at the front of the field as drivers are right there on top of each other. You see that 49 rider Scott Rankin trying to hold on to the race lead, but Christian Schrader only a couple car lengths back, and so is it. Kyle Gray is Gray, reeling them both in, trying to roll off to the front of the field. Is down across the line. We will see only 48 laps done here today. So 48 laps in, still a lot of laps left to go. Still a lot of time for drivers to try to, rebound or try to have a bit better of a race, or maybe trying to play some of that pit strategy to help themselves out, maybe put themselves into a winning situation here this evening. Scott Rankin, after having a great restart, able to take that race lead away from the 29 ride of Christian Strader. Strader has not been able to get back around him here in this second run of the day, as we saw our first stage go clean and green, 25 laps done and gone. And for all these drivers doing a fantastic job out there on the racetrack. Now, stage number 2, it is quickly coming to a close as we're about to hit the halfway marker. Next time around here, the halfway marker here in stage number 2, as it was a 50-lap run there for that second stage, where at the completion of lap 75, we will be bringing all these drivers back down pit side. They'll be coming down, getting fuel, tires, everything else that they desire, but we'll also be handing out some more stage points to our top 10. So the top 10 drivers out there could earn themselves a little bit extra points on the day and try to maximize their evening here points-wise for that championship here with the Full Throttle Outlaws here this evening. As out in front, Scott Rankin doing a great job here, continuing to lead the way with Christian Strader right there behind him in position number 2. Kyle Gray there in third with Charles Van Shank back in fourth. Hunter Carlson there in fifth with Chase Hardy back in sixth. Then we see Jesse Calloway, Stephen Luttrell, the number 18 ride of Evan Schilling back there in position number 9, and Clinton Woodby rounding out our top 10 there in that beautiful Scooby-Doo ride, as he's definitely looking to try to earn some Scooby snacks here this evening as he rolls there in that 10th position. Rusty Modesty back in position number 11, or position number 12, with Joe Yakes in the 11th spot, as that Discount Tire 87 machine just trying to keep himself alive here this evening. Already running into one problem, could potentially run into another problem where he may go a couple laps down out there on the racetrack if he's not careful and can't keep that car pointed in the right direction. And Scott Rankin continues to lead the way. We are now over halfway through this second stage of the day, so still a lot of racing left to go. Still a lot of time to try to move forward, try to hang on, and try to put yourself into a good position, as we do watch Joe Yanks here, the 87 Ryan, going to run into problems once again. Loose out of corner number 2 down the back straightaway. He's going to find the grass down through the dog leg. Slides back up onto the racing surface. Luckily enough, trying to hang on to it, but the rear end just going to kick out and around. He goes for a slide down on the apron, down through the grass once again. Luckily enough, able to get that car rolling. No caution flag. We keep it clean and green, but unfortunately losing a ton of track position again here for that 87 ride. Is out in front, it's Scott Rankin. Rankin looking to try to pull away here, starting to build a little bit of a gap between himself and Christian Strader. Strader sees that number 78 ride, though, of Kyle Gray right there in his rear view mirror. And for Strader, he's looking to try to pick up this win. He doesn't want to see any more drivers go around him here today. He's still got his work cut out, just trying to find a way to jump up and make that move around that number 49 of Scott Rankin here this evening. Is Kyle Gray right there in third. We do see Charles Van Shank a little farther back there in fourth. Hunter Carlson now rounding out our top 5 is Chase Hardy. Colton Hardy. I don't know why I keep saying Chase Hardy. Chase Hardy is another iRacer that we know, but it's Colton Hardy in this 97 ride back there in the 6th position. Jesse Galloway there in position number 7. Stephen Luttrell back in position number 8 with Evan Schilling, and Clinton Woodby rounding out our top 10. For Joe Yanks, multiple laps down back there on the racetrack and rolling in the 11th position with Rusty Modesty, unfortunately, off of the racetrack here already in this race. Looked like he lost connection or something happened there with that number 5 ride, as he started just inside the top 10, only ran about 7.5 laps, and then all of a sudden had taken that car back down and off of the racing surface here this evening. It looks like his night is going to be done, as he is now about 50 laps down from everybody else, and that is definitely going to be a little too much to try to get back. Even if we saw 10-15 caution flags, he may still not get enough waiver rounds and lucky dogs to try to put himself back into the battle here this evening, and that's probably why he's still got that car down in behind pit wall. As Mr. Rankin continues to lead the way. Rankin out in front, as let's take another look back at the Joe Yanks issue out there on the racetrack. Let's see if we can take a look inside of this number 87 ride as he heads down out of corner number 2. Right there, you just see the tires go around on him, and he goes around again. Hard contact there into the inside fence, and man, this is tough. We've seen this a couple times now for this number 87 ride. Again, gets loose down and out of corner number 2. Spins those rear tires in the discount tire ride. Just breaks traction, and all of a sudden it just drives right down into the infield fence. And unfortunately, that is not a safer barrier. That is concrete, and that absolutely destroyed that number 87 machinist. Scott Rankin rolls back there in the 11th position here this evening. Excuse me, the 11th position. We do see Scott Rankin, though. Rankin continuing to lead the way. Scott Rankin out in front is my boy Craig Michael Deacon. What's good, Craiger? Craig coming in, showing the love here in this one. How are you, Craig? Craig coming in, showing the love here this evening. Drop that like on the stream over there on Facebook, coming in with a big heart reaction. We appreciate Eric Hardy coming in as well with that heart reaction here this evening, showing the love here on Peacemaker Gaming. As not a big field, not a lot of cars out there on the racetrack, but it's not about the amount of cars. It's about the quality of cars that are battling out there on the speedway. And for right now, it's Scott Rankin who continues to lead the way, just over half a second between himself and the 78 rider Kyle Gray, as Gray was able to move himself around that number 29 of Christian Strader. So Strader slides all the way back now into third. Charles Van Schaik there in fourth. Hunter Carlson back in fifth. And then we see Jesse Calloway, Colton Hardy, Stephen Luttrell, Evan Schilling, Clinton Woodby, Joe Yanks, and Rusty Modesty bringing up the rear of the field here in this one. But it's all Scott Rankin after taking that race lead away early on in stage number 2. He was able to make a good restart, a good jump right there, and able to battle door to door with Christian Schrader for a lap and a bit before he took that race lead away from him. And once he got it, he has not really looked back, but he's going to be looking in that rear view mirror right now as the laps close down on stage number 2, and we inch closer and closer to our halfway marker here at Phoenix International Speedway. It is that 49 ride still out in front. Kyle Gray right there with him. And then we see Christian Schrader back there in third. Charles Van Schaik, Hunter Carlson, our top 5 out there on the speedways. Let's see if we can jump on board here with Christian Schrader. Actually, let's jump on board with Kyle Gray for a lap here as they head down and into the front straightaway here at Phoenix International Speedway. Let's jump on board with this number 78 ride. Give you guys a view and a sight here of what these drivers are dealing with. Alrighty, here we go. Down the front, straight away, down across the start-finish line. You build up all this speed hard onto the binders here to head down into corner number 1. You can roll that middle in the center of that corner, and then out of corner number 2, looking to get back onto the throttle. You got to be very, very careful not to spin those rear tires out. You see these drivers having that issue, having these tires kick out and around on them, and just trying to hang on, drifted through these corners ever so slightly, and as you roll back onto the throttle, taking it nice and easy. He's down through 3, and now out of 4. You still see that rear end trying to slide up the racetrack there for this number 78. He's able to do a great job counter steering it and making sure he keeps his car pointing the right direction as he battles right there behind our race leader, looking to try to jump up and take the race lead himself here. Scott Rankin continues to lead the way. Now we do see Clinton Woodby. Woodby does head down pit side here. I'm not sure if this is an unscheduled pit stop or potentially a pit strategy call here for the Cartoon Network Wacky Racing number 92 machine, as Woodby does come down pit road, makes that green flag pit stop. Unfortunately, is a lap down. Out there on the racetrack is Scott Rankin coming quickly here, maybe able to put that 92 even 2 laps down, as here he comes rolling back up, trying to get the speed here on the racetrack. Now as he does roll out there onto the speedway, he will have the freshest and best tires over everybody else, and for right now everyone else running in about the 31 second bracket area. Really, we've seen about a second and a half, almost 2 seconds of tire fall off here in this run, and we're only about what, 40 laps into this run since we went back to green flag racing. 41, no, maybe not even 41. It hasn't been very long. We went back to green flag racing, I do believe, around lap number 29 when we went back to green flag racing. So lap 29, back to battle here. Really, these drivers don't have a whole lot of laps on these tires, about 38 laps next time by the start finish line for our race leaders. So still got a lot left in the tank, but we'll have to wait and see if these guys can try to stretch it out. Maybe not have to come down pit side during the green flag conditions. And for Clinton Woodby, that is going to be a tough break as he had to make his way down pit side, make that green flag pit stop here. Did go a lap down on the racetrack, and now as he's back here in position number 10, he's just hoping to see this stage break come to a close, or everyone else having to make their way down pit side for him to try to navigate his way back onto the lead lap here this evening. As right now, if the caution flag were to fly, he is in that free pass position as Joe Yakes and Rusty Modesty have both taken their cars off of the racetrack. As Clinton Woodby, as of right now, is the last driver out there on the racetrack, scored in position number 10, and the only driver still racing here this evening up inside the top 10 out there on the racetrack. The only one left rolling up there outside the top 9 here this evening. So not giving up, not backing down, unfortunately, for Joe Yakes and Rusty Modesty. Not the start of the day that they wanted. As here we go, our race leaders back down the front straightaway here at Phoenix International Speedway. Down across the line, we will see 70 laps completed here this evening. So about 5 laps left here in stage number 2 here this evening. Only about 5 laps left to go. And for that number 78 ride of Kyle Gray, I know he wants to try to jump back up here, maybe try to steal that race lead away from the 49 and the closing laps here of stage number 2, trying to earn himself the maximum stage points here in this final or second to last stage, the penultimate stage here this evening, as Scott Rankin continues to keep him back there at bay, just hitting his marks perfectly, not allowing that 78 ride to catch up to his back bumper and just move right on around him there and steal that extra point and the bonus points here for winning the stage. As Scott Rankin and this number 78 of Kyle Gray start to pull away from everybody else, as Christian Schrader there in position number 2. Charles Van Schaik back there in 4th, and Hunter Carlson rounding out our top 5. Jesse Calloway there in 6th, has that 97 of Colton Hardy, though, right down to his inside. And then we see that 36 ride. That is Stephen Luttrell there in position number 9 here this evening. But now battling door to door with Jesse Calloway. Calloway will slide back into 8th there as Stephen Luttrell able to jump up into position number 7. Evan Schilling there in 9th, and we see Clinton Woodby, Joe Yakes, Rusty Modesty, and Keith Prince rounding out the field. Unfortunately, not a big field of drivers, not a ton of cars, but it is all about that quality over quantity here in this one. It's out in front of 49 as Scott Rankin looks to try to keep on hanging on to this race lead. It's down the back straightaway, nice and easy into corner number 3. That 78 ride trying to hunt him down, trying to play this cat and mouse game and looking to see if he can make that strike late in this run. Is only one more lap left here in stage number 2. Is down across the line. We get that almost green and white checkered flag. Next time around, we will complete lap number 75 in stage number 2 will come to a close where our top 10 in this stage will earn some bonus points towards their hunt to the front and potential championship here this evening. Is nice and easy down through corner number 3 and out of corner number 4, looking to try to hang on and keep that 78 right back there at bay, and Scott Rankin able to do just that. Is Rankin out of 4 back down across the line. He will pick up the checkered flag here in stage number 2. Heck of a run there for Scott Rankin. Kyle Gray coming home in 2nd. Then we see the beautiful number 29 of Christian Schrader. Schrader back there in 3rd. Charles Van Schaik there in 4th. Hunter Carlson, Colton Hardy, Stephen Luttrell, Jesse Calloway, Evan Schilling, our top 9 out there on the racetrack. And then Clinton Woodby, he's back there, unfortunately, a few laps down there in 10th. And then we see Joe Yakes and Rusty Modesty, both drivers, taking their cars down and out of this race here early on here this afternoon. As we will get them ready to rock and roll, we'll get ready to go back to green flag racing here in just a few more moments. Drivers getting ready to make some pit stops here this evening, or potentially try to play that little bit of a gamble here. Maybe stay out, maybe try to save a little extra for later in this race, but I don't think we're going to see that. I think we're about halfway through this feature event, and for these drivers, they know they got six sets of tires back there behind pit wall. They've already used one up. What's the harm of using another one? You can have 4 sets back there for the second half of this feature event that can really help you out and potentially put you up and into victory lane. As here we go, we're going to see all of them head down pit side, looking for fuel, looking for tires, and looking to work themselves back up to the front of the field. And Scott Rankin, Kyle Gray, Christian Schrader all about ready to head down to their pit box here this evening, as each and every one of these drivers, man, putting on a heck of a show for us so far today, man. They have been putting on a great battle, a lot of back and forth out there on the racetrack, and here you go. Drivers headed down pit road as we take another look at it there. You see the 78 ride has that first pit box, and that is a big break, potentially a winning move here for that snap-on 78 ride, is having that front row seat, that first pit stall of the race. Could potentially get a great launch and beat anybody off of pit road, but does not look like it, as he'll come out in position number 2. Scott Rankin there with that race lead, though, able to hang on to it even down pit side with Kyle Gray, Christian Schrader, Colton Hardy, Hunter Carlson, Jesse Calloway, Stephen Luttrell, Evan Schilling, and Clinton Wood be rounding out our top 9 on the racetrack, because we did see this number 92 ride get that wave around the lucky dog in the free pass back into the battle here this evening. And for Charles Van Schaik, oh no, this could be a tough break here for Charles. Charles slow trying to get this car rolling again here down and out of pit lane, and unfortunately a longer pit stop is going to lose all that track position for that GOAT Racing Diecast number 23 ride. Definitely not the spot that he wants to be early on here this evening, as we're getting closer and closer though to that halfway marker. It's just around the corner as we will get ready to go back to green flag racing. It is halfway in, halfway to go here this evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. If you haven't already, make sure you guys do us a favor, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button, as we'll get ready to go back to green flag racing here in this one. And as we do, we'll jump into our Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up, so crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers here today. and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up for all these drivers. A beautiful crank it up session right there as they are able to give us the sights and sounds around the beautiful Legacy Phoenix International Raceway. As out in front, it is that Reese's number 29 ride of Christian Strader. Strader continues to lead the way here in this one. As that 29 ride out in front, looking to try to run away with this race. Now out to about a 1.1 second gap between himself and Kyle Gray. As Gray, they're in position number 2, trying to hang on to that second spot, but also trying to hunt down our race leader here, as this could be clean and green. That last stage break could be potentially our final restart and our final, caution of the day here. So without another caution flag, it's going to be a run to the finish here for all these drivers, where tire wear, fuel mileage, everything going to play a major factor in who's going to be able to try to put themselves up and into victory lane here this evening. It's Matt Hutch. If you don't like it, go somewhere else, Matt. He says 13 cars. What a league. Matt, I'm sure you probably run in a league with, 5 cars? You probably don't even have iRacing. You probably play on a PlayStation, so piss off, dummy. As out in front, the number 29 Brian continue to lead the way here. You do see Kyle Gray trying to close that gap, trying to hunt him down, as Hunter Carlson back there in position number 3. Scott Rankin back there in position number 4, with Stephen Luttrell there in 5th, trying to hold on to that 5th position. As right now the 92 rider Clinton Woodby unfortunately a lap down out there on the racetrack, needs a caution flag and a wave around, as he's got some fresh tires on that 92 ride. He's finding some speed, he's running some great laps and rolling around all these drivers that are up inside our top 10, top 5 on the racetrack. Unfortunately, just not battling for position, as he is still a lap down out there on the racetrack. For Christian Strader, Kyle Gray, and the rest of the field here, they still have to make another pit stop here this evening. I don't think they can make it to the end, so they'll have to try to head down pit road and see if they can try to make a move and see if they have to come down pit side. It's going to be interesting to see what the tire wear is going to look like here as we continue to push the subject here on these green flag runs, and really start to see where these tires start to really fade away, and how these drivers are going to be able to handle the changes, not only on the racetrack, as you start to see that rubber being laid down all these laps. And obviously not a lot of cars, it takes a little bit longer, but the rubber starting to come in could change the handling of your race car, could change the handle of the tires out there as well. So it'll be interesting to see, and especially when drivers have to start heading down pit road. It's here comes that Vulcan Materials Company number 4 ride, the beautiful John Deere machine of Jesse Calloway. Calloway heads down pit side, making this green flag pit stop here. So he's going to give up a top 10 run, heads down pit side. Actually, he was up inside the top 5 right there, and heads down pit road now into his pit stall, looking to hit some tires, looking to get some fuel, hoping to jump back out there onto the racetrack, and hopefully not going too far down, but maybe it will use the fresh tires to his advantage. If you can roll out there, if you can keep yourself rolling here and see if you can keep on racing and keep on battling, and maybe if it takes a little longer for our race leaders to come down pit side and you got those fresh tires, and you can lay down some very, very quick lap times, potentially could leapfrog around them, but I'm not sure how much longer they're going to stay out there. If they start to see a few more drivers head down pit road, their hands may be forced to make that green flag pit stop as well, as they do not want to get short pitted on, come out onto the racetrack. Yes, they may have the better tires, they may have the better car, but if they have too big of a gap that they can't have enough time or enough laps to try to hunt down those drivers that short pitted, potentially could put them behind the ball here, as we saw that already with the number 92 of Clinton Woodby. Woodby came down pit road on lap number 90 here. He was quite a ways back behind Jesse Calloway and all these other drivers, but with those fresher tires, the better race car, he is able to grow over an 8-second gap between himself and this 4 ride out there on the racetrack. So even if there is a caution flag right now and these guys get trapped a lap down, the 92 of Clinton Woodby is in that free pass position, as tire wear and fuel mileage going to become a subject here throughout the rest of this race. It'll be interesting to see if anyone was really saving there throughout the first half of this run. We did see the 97 ride kind of fall back quite a ways there after restarting up inside the top 5, running up into that that third position for the first handful of laps after that green flag came back out. Now, you do see a little bit of right front damage there on that 97 ride, but you do see him making the move around Evan Schilling as Schilling takes that beautiful radar scope 18 ride down pit side. So he makes that hard left-hand turn down pit road. He's looking to try to get this car fixed up and try to get some fuel and tires into it for his potential final pit stop here this evening. Is the 49 another one of those drivers that we'll keep an eye on here? Is the beautiful number 49 ride, the OG Gear Machine. He has a little bit of right rear damage there, got it on that restart. Unfortunately went from leading this race to all of a sudden sliding outside the top 8, top 9 out there on the racetrack. He was able to battle back. He's now running back up inside the top 5, but he kind of hung out there for a little while. Once he got shoved back there, once he got that little bit of damage, it seemed like he had to take a little extra time to try to get this car rolling, trying to get the tires kind of warmed up or cooled down or whatever he had to do, and now he's starting to drive back up through the field and finds himself here in position number 4 and looking for more, but there's still a pretty sizable gap between himself and Christian Schrader, almost 9 seconds here between our race leader and our 4th place driver, Scott Rankin, right now on the racetrack, as Christian Schrader starting to pull away here more and more from these drivers. Kyle Gray now about 2.5 seconds back behind our race leader out there on the racetrack, and for that Impala SS, the Snap-on Tools ride back here in position number 2, starting to see that orange Reese's Pieces ride get smaller and smaller and smaller here this evening. As Schrader, Kyle Gray, Hunter Carlson, our top 3 out there on the speedway. Scott Rankin back there in position number 4, and Stephen Luttrell rounding out our top 5. Charles Van Schaik, the GOAT Racing diecast owner-operator, there in position number 6, trying to race his way back up after a slow pit stop. Unfortunately, did not get a clean pit stop there during the, pit stops that we saw at the end of stage number 2, and unfortunately had to restart back there at the rear of the field. Now, he's been kind of just rolling the throttle here, trying to save this car, maybe try to save that fuel out there on the racetrack, and seeing if he can try to maybe run a little bit of a different strategy than everybody else. And right now rolling in that 6th position, has a bit of a gap between himself and that 97 ride of Colton Hardy. Clinton would be a lap down still on the racetrack there. The 92 ride rolls in position number 8. Jesse Calloway right there behind him, though. We talked about that 8-second gap between the 92 and that 4 ride. It did not take long for Jesse to make up that ground. The fresh tires here for that 4 ride, currently running almost a second and a half quicker than our race leaders and the rest of the drivers around him here. So he is really starting to lay down some great laps and really starting to put that pressure on these guys, and looking to try to maybe even just race his way up here and put himself back onto the lead lap, as he just moved around our 4th place driver, that 49 ride of Scott Rankin. Christian Schrader, though, quite a ways away here, and all these drivers still potentially having to make a green flag pit stop could be disastrous. As you come down pit road here, it's a bit of a slick racetrack to start with, and then you head down onto the apron, you try to get your car checked up, you can spin yourself out, you can run into problems, you can get a pit road speeding penalty in a quick hurry. It's a very short turnoff right there in a very short portion to trying to get checked up and down to pit road speed. So you got to be very careful. You got to mind your P's and Q's and try to keep yourself out of trouble there and not getting one of those pit road speeding penalties where you got to make a pass through or potentially be held down in your pit spot for a extended period of time here by iRacing. So you want to make sure you try to keep yourself together, keep yourself rolling out there on the racetrack and not having issues here. And I think a lot of these drivers that are still out there on the racetrack, I think they're really banking on potentially getting that caution flag and being able to use it to their advantage here and not having to make that green flag pit stop here today. But their hands may be forced, but some drivers maybe trying to play a little bit of that strategy. We do see Colton Hardy not too far out here, or far behind our race leader here, as he's about 22 seconds, almost 23 seconds behind Christian Schrader. He's been kind of on this whole different game, running way slower lap times than everybody else, just rolling this throttle, trying to save as much fuel as possible. I'm starting to think maybe this winning bid ride could potentially make it on fuel, but he's probably going to be cutting it very, very close. And even if he does make it on fuel, how much time is he giving up trying to save that fuel that our race leaders may still be able to just beat him and be in front of him, even if they make a green flag pit stop, as right now he is about to be a full lap down as Christian Schrader right there just heading out of corner number 4. And for that number 97 ride, he's just heading down into corner number 1, so he's about a straightaway from going a lap down out there on the racetrack. So you got to be very, very careful about not going too slow here to where it could potentially still not make a difference on how much fuel you saved, or if you're able to make it to the end without having to make another green flag pit stop. It may hurt you more than it helps you out there on the speedway. Schrader out in front, 4-second gap now between himself and Kyle Gray. Looks like Gray has really backed up the pace here in that snap-on ride, and you do see that for Machina, Jesse Calloway. Calloway short pitted there, came down pit side on lap 109. He's got the fresher tires than everybody else on the racetrack, and down across the line right there, able to run another 30-second even lap right there, where the drivers around him running more closer to that 31-second area. So definitely a lot slower lap than a lot of these other drivers, and unfortunately for Jesse, still a lap down, but quickly potentially could be putting himself back on the lead lap and still has better tires. As now here we go, we see Clinton Woodby back down pit side. Evan Schilling still down pit road as well. We saw Schilling make that green flag pit stop there in front of Colton Hardy and did not come back out onto the racetrack here, so maybe something more catastrophic down pit side for this radar scope number 18 machine, as he has not rolled back out onto the throttle. Now Clinton Woodby down pit side here as well. We'll see if Woodby gets back onto the horse here and starts rolling out there on the racetrack and bringing that Scooby-Doo ride back out there to continue battling here this evening. As Christian Schrader down across the line will click off lap number 126. So 126 laps completed here this evening, and we inch closer and closer to our checkered flag. Is yo, what's good? Jeff McJeffrey coming in showing the love over there on Facebook says, yo, it's a good night for kicking tires in lighting fires. He says, I'm down for one of them. I'm down for kicking tires for lighting fires. I don't know about that one, man. That's a charge right there, isn't it? Isn't that arson? We don't light fires around here. I'm messing with you. Jeff coming in showing the love there with that like on the stream, and my boy Jeff Brown as well. Jeff coming in dropping that thumbs up here on the broadcast as well. How are you, Mr. Brown? How you doing this evening? Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful day as we get these guys continuing to battle out there on the racetrack. A great green flag run, as we saw the last caution flag was for the end of stage number 2 on lap number 75. We went back to green flag racing right around lap number 79. So this has been one heck of a run for each and every one of these drivers. Lap 79, they came down pit side. They were able to make those yellow flag pit stops in their second pit stop of the day, and now they're really starting to stretch out this field. They're really starting to run a lot of laps, and these tires are really starting to get stressed out, as this next time by the start finish line is going to be 50 laps of green flag racing on these tires. It's the farthest these guys have went on a set of tires here to date, so that's going to make things very, very interesting. From this point beyond, it's kind of no man's land. These guys may not really know what to expect, or if they run into issues, if they start to have tire failures, if they start to, really fall off the pace. What's the game plan? What's the emergency call that you got to make to try to put yourself into a better situation? As here we go, we do see that Studio 86 number 32 ride of Hunter Carlson. Carlson heads down pit road here. He's looking to make his green flag pit stop, as Woodby and Evan Schilling still down pit side, have not rolled back into the racetrack. And now here comes our race leader, the Reese's 29, Christian Schrader, heads down pit side here himself. So Schrader heads down pit road. He's making that green flag pit stop now here with only about 24 laps of racing action left to go here this evening. So not a lot of laps left here, ladies and gentlemen. Still a 26 laps left here. Okay, 156 laps. For some reason, I keep thinking it's a 154 lap race. It's 156 laps, Aaron. Come on now. So 26 laps of racing action left to go. And now we do see our new race leader, that 78 ride, was able to jump out in front, make that pass around Mr. Christian Strader, and Strader now into his pit box. You do see Kyle Gray down pit side. Here comes that 29 ride back out onto the racetrack. Hunter Carlson, he's rolling back out there as well. We'll have to see where all these drivers line up, and if anyone gets a pit road penalty here this evening, as Scott Rankin retakes this race lead. So Scott Rankin out in front, Charles Van Schaik there in second, Colton Hardy back in position number 3 is Hardy. Definitely just rolling a whole different ball game here this evening, just kind of way off the pace, but really trying to save that fuel for that number 97 ride. We'll have to wait and see if it pays off for him here, if he's still going to have to make that pit stop here this evening. That green flag pit stop around the corner, I think, for a lot of these drivers, as Scott Rankin out in front, nice and easy, down through what would be the dog leg here at Phoenix, in what would be corner number 1 on the new Phoenix Raceway. But on the old one, this is corner number 3 and 4, down the front straightaway here and down across the start-finish line, just the way they used to have it, as you do see right behind that 49 right, our race leader, you do see Kyle Gray and Hunter Carlson. So for Carlson, pitting early there, leapfrogging quite a bit of ground, and he's right behind that 78 ride of Kyle Gray. So Gray right there with them, and for both these drivers, they're still trying to hunt down. They know that if this goes green, if we don't see, or if we do see all these other drivers have to make that green flag pit stop, then this could be the battle for second here today, as they are quite a ways behind this 29 ride of Christian Strader. Strader about 7 seconds in front of Kyle Gray and Hunter Carlson. So a big gap here between what could be our second and third place drivers. Jesse Galloway, who short pitted, came down pit side on lap 109. He was able to leapfrog not only most of our top 5, but our second and third place drivers as well. And if things cycle through, could potentially be in position number 2 here himself. But now he does have older tires. He is quite a bit off the pace, and he has fallen farther and farther back behind Christian Strader, who's already made that move around him here in this one. And now you do see that 97 rider, Colton Hardy. Hardy yet to come down pit side, yet to make that green flag pit stop, and for the winning bid 97 ride. Now we're running into some blinkiness out there, a little bit of internet connection issues for that 97, but he rolls back in position number 3, just trying to save fuel, trying to make it to the end of this race, and not wanting to make a green flag pit stop. And now, as much as that's all well and dandy, and it may work out for him, he's so far off the pace trying to save fuel that our race lead, well, what was our race leader, Christian Strader, already right there to his back bumper. You're going to see how good these fresh tires are compared to the old tires. There he goes right on by the 97, able to make quick work of him and move right on around that 97 and put himself back up into third. Now he does have about a 16, almost 17 second gap to try to hunt down Scott Rankin. If Rankin can make it to the end here, potentially he is the one to run this long and maybe steal this win away from Christian Strader here this evening, as Charles Van Schaik not too far in front of our old race leader as well, as here comes Christian Strader quickly rolling up to the back bumper of that 23 ride. The GOAT Racing diecast machine trying to hold on the second, though. We'll see if he puts up a fight here in this one. And some great racing, some great battles out there on the racetrack. Each and every one of these drivers continue to duke it out here in this one. And Scott Rankin leads the way down across the line. He will click off lap number 138 here this evening. And across the line, we see only 18 more laps left to go in this race. 18 laps left for these drivers to duke it out, to go to battle and try to put themselves up and into victory lane here this evening. And for this 49 ride, if he can make it on fuel, he could potentially be that guy to be able to run this last green flag run for virtually, what, 87 laps, 77 laps, something like that. It's a long run here for this 49 ride. A lot of laps out there. Last time they were down pit road was just before lap 79 when we went back to green flag racing, and really that's what, 21 and 56, that's what, 76 laps. Yeah, 77 laps of green flag racing. That's incredible, man. I don't know if they can make it on fuel or not. Even if you save a ton, I don't know if you're going to be able to make that much time up and save that much fuel. And not only that, it's trying to keep yourself pointed in the right direction. As you just see that 49 ride lose that rear end right there. Luckily enough, able to just roll out of the throttle, catch that car, keep it pointed in the right direction. But as these tires continue to get worse, that skidding, that spin out style is going to be more and more of an issue here for the 49 ride than it is going to be a favor out there, as he's definitely going to have his hands full right down to the checkered flag and hoping to try to hang on, hoping to continue to run good laps here and keep Christian Schrader back there at bay. As Schrader already making quick work of Charles Van Schaik. Van Schaik falls back into position number 3. Scott Rankin out in front, though, has an 11-second gap between himself and Christian Schrader. Schrader, though, is still running over a second a lap faster than Scott Rankin. So even though he's got an 11-second gap here, Schrader could potentially just continue to run these good laps and still track him down. And I don't know if there's going to be enough I think there's going to be too many laps here for this 49 ride to pull this strategy off. He's either going to have to find some good speed or hope that the 29 ride of Christian Schrader either gets held up by lap traffic or potentially runs into some issues himself or starts to have some major tire fall off where he doesn't catch him as quick. But right now, he may just be a sit and duck out there on the racetrack here for late in this race and for Christian Schrader to make easy work of him and just roll right on around him as that Reese's ride only about 9.5 seconds back now of our race leader. So Schrader with the fresh tires, that fast car, he is looking to hunt him down, looking to take that race lead away and looking to put himself up and into victory lane as Kyle Gray goes around Charles Van Schaik. This is a battle for position number 3. Van Schaik on that same strategy, not wanting to make that additional green flag pit stop here this evening. The 23 trying to make it this entire final run as Scott Rankin, Charles Van Schaik, and Colton Hardy were all last down pit road on lap number 77 here this evening. For Christian Schrader, Kyle Gray, Hunter Carlson, Jesse Calloway, all these drivers have already made that additional pit stop out there on the racetrack, and some of them have only been out there on the racetrack with these good tires for 10 laps, 15 laps. So it's definitely working. The fresh tires are definitely what you want here late in this race. But if you can have that track position, if you can have that big gap built up like Scott Rankin has, and if you can make it to the end on fuel, if you don't have to worry about that fuel mileage, and for the 49 ride, it may work out. It may work out. It may not. As down across the line, go click off another lap. It's only 11 laps left to go here from Phoenix. And for Scott Rankin, the gap is below 7 seconds now. So 7 seconds back, we do see Christian Schrader. Fresh tires. The fastest car out there on the racetrack has led a ton of laps here this evening. Had a massive lead before making this final green flag pit stop. And for this 29 ride, he knows what he's got to do. He's just got to hunt down that 49 ride, make that pass, and put himself back out in front, and he may be on cruise control to the checkered flag here this evening in what has been a pretty exciting race. I mean, with only, 12 cars taking the green flag here, losing 2 fairly early on when we saw Rusty Modesty lose connection there on lap number 7, and then Joe Yanks backing out there on lap 53. Definitely made things very, very interesting, and now we do see Scott Rankin running into issues here. So Scott Rankin, our race leader, now getting loose out of corner number 2 here. There you go. You see that skid right there. Loses the rear end, goes for a hump, skip, and a jump. He does some landscaping down the back straightaway. It will roll back out onto the racetrack, but that right there with those old tires, that's what we were talking about. You can see that more and more as everyone else has that extra bit of a grip, and for the 49 ride, unfortunately, he doesn't have much grip left, and now he has only about a 3-second gap between himself and Christian Schrader. Schrader definitely wanted to see that as that closed up a couple seconds the last lap around. He closed in about 2.25 seconds on that 49 ride, and he is there, ladies and gentlemen. He is only 2.5 seconds back of our race leader, and with now only 8 laps left to go in this race, I don't know if he's gonna be able to hang on to it, man. I don't know if he's gonna be able to keep that gap kind of where it is or try to keep that 29 right back there at bay. And fuel mileage may still become an issue. He may still have to come down pit side and get fuel. He may run out. Fuel may be very, very tight for this 49, but at the same point in time, he wants to run quick laps to try to keep that 29 ride back there at bay. And that's a tough spot to be. You want to be fast, but you got to save fuel. You can't do both of them, unfortunately, out there on the racetrack. And for the 49 ride, not only does he have to try to do both of those things, but he's also got to try to keep this car pointed in the right direction. You can't have another slip-up. You can't have another mistake like we saw there out of corner number 2. Just a few laps to go because Schrader will be there and ready to pounce in a quick hurry. It may still be for naught as he is closing the gap. He is almost there. He is almost to the back bumper of our race leader is down across the line. We see only 6 more laps left to go. Man, this is going to be interesting. It's about a 1.2 second gap here. Christian Strader, he's there, but he's not quite there. He's not within striking distance, and if the 49 can keep on managing that gap, if he can keep a couple car lengths between himself and that 29 ride over the next few laps, potentially, it could put him into victory lane here this evening. But not only does Christian Strader have to catch him, he has to find a way around him. The 49 ride's going to be doing everything he can to try to keep that car back there at bay and try to keep that race lead, but man, he is struggling on these old tires as that 29 ride right there through quarter 1 and 2 close up over half a second down the back straightaway. He is there only a couple car lengths now between first and second as Scott Rankin trying to hold off Christian Strader. Strader looking to try to take the race lead. Back away is down across the line. Only 4 more laps left to go. 4 more laps left here in this race as there's that winning bid 97 ride of Colton Hardy. Hardy, unfortunately, is going to go a lap down right there as he just moves up and out of the way of our race leaders. And Scott Rankin still trying to hang on to this race lead. Now he's got to try to play a bunch of defense, but I don't think he's going to be able to do enough as there's the 29 using the outside lane. He's able to put the power down on corner exit. We'll see if he can get the run and maybe take this race lead away. He's down across the line. Strader back out in front. Strader does lead that lap, but Scott Rankin trying to hang with them, but with the older tires, I don't think you'll be able to hang on for long as the 29 ride is going to look like a rocket ship, and he is just going to start to pull away as Christian Strader looking for the checkered flag here this evening. Nice and easy down into corner number 3 and out of corner number 4 as the 49 pushes up the racetrack. That will allow him to open up a sizable gap, almost a second, back down across the line. And as he makes that move down across the line, we see only 2 more laps left to go. So 2 more laps of racing action here from Phoenix International Speedway, the Legacy Phoenix here this evening, as this is the old racetrack. No dog leg. The checkered flag will come out here on the front straightaway here at Phoenix, and this is exactly the way it's supposed to be ran. This is the way we like this racetrack. It's what we all grew up watching, and how exciting all this racing is down across the line. We will see that white flag fly here in the QH Design 156 here with the full throttle Outlaws, and the 29 ride of Christian Strader will lead us down the back straightaway here for the final time this evening as he heads down through what is the dog leg nowadays and into corner number 3 here at Phoenix. Heads down and easily out of corner number 4. He is on cruise control for over a 2-second gap, and for the final time down across the line, the 29 of Christian Strader will pick up the checkered flag here this evening. Strader gets it done and puts himself up and in to victory lane here this evening in the QH Design 156 from Phoenix International Speedway. Scott Rankin able to hang on, come home in position number 2, and Kyle Gray coming home there in 3rd. Hunter Carlson, Charles Van Shank, our top 5 with Stephen Luttrell, Jesse Calloway, Colton Hardy, Clinton Woodby, Evan Schilling, Joe Yanks, Rusty Modesty, and Keith Prince bringing up the rear of the field. But the 29 ride, the Reese's Pieces machine of Christian Strader will be able to party hardy here this evening after picking up a big dump here at Phoenix, and we'll get ready to pull him and the rest of our top 3 up and into the broadcast booth for their post-race interviews. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for our race winner here this evening. And Strader gets it done. Strader picks it up and puts himself into victory lane. Man, what a run and what a drive here this evening. He's not done racing yet. I figured we'd see a burnout from the 29 ride by now, but he's not even burned down the house. He's just doing a few victory laps out there on the racetrack. Doesn't look like he's tuckered out after 156 laps of racing action. Oh, here we go. Now he's going to get ready to burn it down. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for our race winner in that number 29 ride. Christian Strader able to get it done and pick up a big dub here this evening in the QH Design 156 presented by the Full Throttle Outlaws, as he was just looping around right there. Now going to do the Polish victory lap potentially for this 29 ride. I wonder if he can lay down a quick lap time going the opposite way around the racetrack as fast as he was going the right way around the racetrack here this evening. As he's able to pick up the dub, we'll wait for him to jump up into the broadcast booth here for his post-race interview, as I'm sure he's still ecstatic, still pretty happy about that run and picking up the checkered flag here this evening. We do see Scott Rankin in the waiting room here, but we're yet to see Christian Schrader or Kyle Gray jump into the broadcast booth yet. So we'll have to wait and see if they jump in here, if they jump into the booth, and if we can get them in for some post-race interviews here this evening. We'll have to wait and see here. We'll wait and see what the official verdict is and if they slide in here. But for right now, we do have our second place finisher, Scott Rankin. Rankin is waiting patiently down pit side. Let's jump up here with Scott and see what he's going to say about tonight's racing action. Hey Scott, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy? Not too bad. Scott, man, heck of a run, heck of a drive here this evening as you were able to park that 49 right up and onto the podium. A solid second place run after leading some laps. Looked very, very strong there in stage number 2. And then obviously trying to play a little bit of that strategy game there in that final stage. Unfortunately, it just falls about 5 laps short here this evening, man. Take us back through this race. And what's going through your mind here as you sit down pit side and watch that 29 ride celebrate there on the front straightaway?
That I had to burn extra fuel that I didn't have to actually race those guys, and I saved the tire. I did all the right things, so I'm really kind of annoyed just with some of the P's and Q's. That's the big stuff, but that's racing as well. So it is what it is. But the big key was that we ran such a strong stage 2. Stage 2 was difficult. Stage 2 was probably the hardest part of the race, to be perfectly honest. Trying to judge the tires and the way that we burned those, because I wanted to maintain the lead, because as soon as you got the lead it was so difficult to pass. So it was trying to match Christian's pace but also work on the ways that I could save the tire, because the biggest thing you know about Kyle is he's always going to be brilliant on the tires. I'm known for my tire saving generally, but Kyle's better than I am. So to be perfectly honest, it was just sort of trying to manage that race, and stage 2 was incredibly difficult, trying to run the pace. Fuel saving, to be perfectly honest with you, is actually easier because you know that you don't need to run the tires hard, and it was just big lifts and coasts, and yeah. So
absolutely, just coasting around the racetrack there, trying to keep yourself out of trouble here late in this race. But take us through the call there. Do you regret not coming down pit side and making that additional green flag pit stop here this evening, or were you pretty committed and pretty happy with how that strategy played out here late in the race by not coming back down pit road and running virtually a 77 lap green flag lap run there at the end?
look, I got to be honest. If I run that, if I nail that stint, I probably win this race by 3-4 seconds pretty comfortably. So to be perfectly honest, there's stuff to work on there. That's driver error. And like I said, there's some of the working with the traffic that to be perfectly honest, racing cars tonight cost me 3-4 laps worth of gas that I had to go and find again. So you didn't need to do it. Didn't need to race those cars. A couple mistakes as well would have cost me another good 2 to 3 seconds. At least the one lap where I got very loose off of 2 and had to cut the dog leg cost me 2 seconds. There's the race win right there.
Yeah,
so
we did watch that back. We saw you go through that little bit of landscaping mode down there on the back straightaway, man. And take us kind of back through. Obviously a long run, the longest run of the day there, and a lot of green flag laps on those tires. How wore out were they getting? It looked like that car was a bit of an animal, and you guys had your hands full there late in this race with those tires falling off after 70 laps of green flag racing on them.
Well, to put it frankly, though, I just pulled up the right rear tire. The number on the right rear tire was actually identical to the second stage. So that sort of gives you. But it was all going into that final stage. I knew no matter what the plan was, it was to keep the car straight. Do not let that thing slide at all. Because as soon as you do, that's where you get yourself in trouble. The way that cars drive it, and this is the way that I sort of talk to people about them, is your front tire is where your lap speeders come out, your rear tire is where your consistency comes off. So if you're a tenth slower off that right front, but you lose a second every 5 laps, well, you're slower overall. So therefore it's save the right rear to make sure that I would rather run a tenth and a half slower to preserve the right rear tire and really straighten up. The big thing was straightening up the corner exits. No matter what you do in these cars, it is going to be difficult to drive. It is going to slide around on that right rear. There's nothing you can do to prevent that. That is the nature of the car. So it's just about what do I want to achieve, and at times there are going to be times when you need to press on and you need to burn the tire to make the overtake. Looking at racing Christian, Kyle, Charles, and this is something that will go through their heads as well, is there is a time to burn because track position is relevant. There is a time that you need to cash in some tire advantage to get a position. So if there's any time that you can grab some track position for free, you got to take that. So yeah, and then you just go back to save and go back to working on things. So these cars are a challenge, and I think that's why a lot of people are here.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely looks like they're a bit of a handful out there on the racetrack. Obviously, a lot different than what we normally see now with the newer Cup cars. But, man, you guys make it look like a lot of fun out there on the racetrack. And, Scott, you park it up here in position number 2 here this evening from the Legacy Phoenix International Raceway here today. Man, who would you like to thank for such a great run and great drive out there on the racetrack?
Yeah, I want to say a big shout out to the Wanted Goons guys. They've got me back and loving racing. I know none of them are actually over here yet. We're trying to work on that, trying to get some more bodies out here and go racing. I want to say a shout out to Joe Yates and where's my boys? They've dropped off my Joe Yates and Colton. They've been supreme to getting me back out here on racetrack and coming out with. I've been talking to these guys since I got divorced last year, and they've kept me wanting. I come and spotted a few races for them, helped them out with some strategy. They got me back wanting to race a lot more. So big shout out to them, to all the Wanted Goons sponsors, as well as Neuropower, oggear.com.au. If you're looking for some new racing gloves, now shipping out to the United States as well. Really nice products, by the way. Personally, my favorite racing gloves. I've tried a fair few pairs. I'm really, really happy with the OG gloves. And McLean and Yamba Vets, which is a brand new sponsor, come on board. My girlfriend decided to put her logo on the cars, which isn't on this car yet, but will be from next week.
Beauty. Well, we can't wait to see that new logo and that new car here on the racetrack next Friday night. Scott, great run, great drive, and hopefully we'll see you right back up here in the broadcast booth next Friday. Maybe one spot better and up in victory lane yourself.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the broadcast as well. Much appreciated.
Absolutely, brother. Scott, enjoy the rest of your evening, and congrats again on the second place finish.
Thank you.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our second place finisher, Scott Rankin. As Rankin comes home there in position number 2. Heck of a run, heck of a drive there for him. As we'll get ready now to pull in our third place, or our race winner here. We gotta pull in our race winner first before we pull in our third place driver. It is Christian Schrader. He's now up in the broadcast booth down in the Gatorade victory lane here this evening. Let's pull Christian up into the booth right now. Hey Christian, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Yeah, how you doing, Aaron?
Not too bad, Christian, man. What a run. What a drive for you here this evening as you're able to park that number 29 right up and into victory lane, man. Take us back through it and what's kind of going through your mind right now as you sit down there in the Gatorade victory lane.
Man, I'm thrilled to have won this one. The track was hot. It was slick. The car was sliding around. That's my favorite time. It's just fun to drive when it gets like that. But throughout the race, early on, I wasn't sure kind of how it was going to go. So the first stage, I kind of ran a little hard, would push the car a little bit more than I wanted to. Started the second stage, thought maybe we could do the same. The car felt better the first stage, but I also had clean air, wasn't trying to catch somebody in front of me. So in the second stage, Scott got out front, and I was trying to push a little bit to get back to the lead, but burned a little bit of tire off. So we got to that final stage, and I knew it was going to probably be a long run. The race had gone pretty clean, not too many cautions. So I wanted to do what I did in the first, try to get back out in front, and then just find a consistent pace where wasn't giving up any time, wasn't sliding the car too much, just trying to take care of all the equipment, and ended up working out pretty well tonight.
Absolutely worked out very, very good here this evening as you're able to park that ride up and into victory lane. But take us through some of these runs, some of the different strategy there, as we obviously saw a few of those drivers in that final run electing to stay
Oh,
out here, not come down pit side, trying to obviously stretch out that fuel, stretch out those tires. You come down pit side, put the French tires on. Now you got to play that catch-up game where you're trying to close that gap and hunt down that 49 ride. And for a little bit, looked like you're going to make easy work of it. Then all of a sudden, the laps started to click down in a quick hurry, and that gap was still fairly sizable. But in those closing laps, obviously with the 49 ride struggling, trying to keep those tires underneath of him, you were able to finally catch up to him, make that move around him, and take that race lead back away in cruise control here to victory lane this evening, man. Take us through that final run and kind of what's going through your mind there as you're trying to hunt down that 49 ride and hoping to see him make more mistakes like he did there at a corner number 2, cutting down through that dog leg and losing a couple seconds right at the get-go.
yeah, I was really concerned during that third stage there about what the strategy was. I'm not the best at coming up with the fuel strategy, seeing what's going to work. Same with a little bit on saving fuel. It's not really my forte. So I saw cars coming down pit road. I mean, probably like 10, 15 laps before I did, and it kind of got me a little bit nervous on what was going to happen because the tire fall off was pretty big tonight. You could hold on decently well, but there was just a point where like it just hit a cliff and you were going to go down down in lap time really fast. So I kind of felt like the best thing was to kind of try to mimic what Kyle was going to do. I felt like he was staying out. I was checking him lap after lap after lap and seeing when somebody was going to come down from the front few cars. And then I had a kind of an idea that the 49 car might be saving gas. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make it. It seemed like kind of a long stretch. It was probably somewhere between 8-10 laps of fuel saving for us, and so thought it maybe pitted a little bit earlier, try to get the fresh tires on, and see if I could run him down. As the laps were kind of closing down there, I felt good and felt comfortable with the pace. I was kind of taking a look, and I felt like with a few laps to go, and then just it's tough. The track's hot. The 49 cars on extremely old tires at that point, and it is tough to try to be good and be consistent and hit your marks every single time when the tires are like that at this temperature. So I felt really good about trying to catch him once it kind of got into that 5-second range. But you never know. There's a little concern, you know. You don't know until you really don't know until you get to him, you know.
Absolutely. It's one thing to catch him. It's another thing to make the move around him. And luckily enough, you were able to make a quick work out of him there. Looked like he was really trying to protect that yellow line, thinking that you were going to shoot down to the inside there. But you go to the outside, make that pass, jump back out in front, and then you're just, set sail from that point on. Obviously, only a couple laps left. You open up easily a couple second lead and just drive yourself up your into victory lane here at Legacy Phoenix International Raceway here this evening. Christian, who would you like to thank, man, for such a great run and a great drive out there on the racetrack, capturing tonight's QH Design 156 checkered flag?
Of course, I'd like to thank everybody that puts this together. Colton does a great job getting everything together. I'd also like to thank Matt, Rusty. They're the ones that kind of brought me over here, and they helped me out with some things and just keep me a little calm. Same with Steven and Hunter. Of course, all the sponsors of the league, the Winning Bid, Admin Box, Moza, Metalheads Truck Series, Johnny Johnson Motorsports, QH Design, Full Throttle Paint Company, and then want to thank you. You know, you come out here and you do a great job putting on the broadcast and keeping everybody, I guess, just keeping everybody entertained, you know. Sometimes things can get a little bit long, a little spread out, and you do a really good job of making everything exciting and keeping everybody watching and doing a good job for the viewers.
Absolutely, brother. It's all about putting on a great show for the fans in the stands each and every single race. Whether or not we got 12 cars out there or we got 1,200 cars out there, we still got to put on a show for all the fans in the stands. And tonight, you guys were putting on the show out there on the racetrack and putting down some great lap times, leading a lot of laps and parking that 29 up and into victory lane. Christian, congratulations on the dub, and we can't wait to see you guys back in action next Friday and potentially seeing this 29 ride right back up here in victory lane.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Aaron. Hopefully I'll be talking to you next week again. We're going to turn left and turn right next week. So that'll be a lot of fun. And we'll see how that goes. I do like the road courses, so hopefully I'll be speaking with you again next week.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to it. We look forward to seeing you guys make those left and right hand turns next Friday night, and see if maybe we'll get a couple road course ringers in there to give you a challenge.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see something. I mean, you never know. Road course
Exactly.
racing is a whole different ball game, and some of these guys, I'm sure they're probably pretty good out there on the road course. I mean, they're doing a really good job on the ovals, and it is a competitive field. Sometimes things might not look like it, but it is hard out there, week in, week out, racing everybody, um, and they do a really good job.
Yeah, absolutely, they certainly do. No slouches out there on the racetrack. You gotta earn every spot you can here in the Full Throttle Outlaw Series. Christian, congrats on the win, congrats on the great race, and don't party too hard down there in Victory Lane, as we'll see you back out there on the racetrack next Friday trying to go for another checkered flag.
Sounds good, Aaron. I was gonna say, enjoy your Friday night, and we'll party a little bit, you know.
Hey, party a little bit, okay, but drink responsibly. Man, have a great rest of your night.
You too.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our race winner, Christian Strader. Strader picks up the dub here this evening and parks that 29 up and into Victory Lane. As we will get ready now to pull in our third place finisher here this evening, the 78 rider, Kyle Gray. Kyle comes home in position number 3 here this evening. Let's get Kyle up here into the broadcast booth. Hey, Kyle, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Do you get a copy?
Yes, sir.
Kyle, man, great run, great race here this evening, man. Take us back through this one. Obviously, a lot of different fuel strategy, tire strategy, a lot of different things playing out this afternoon, but you're up inside the top 3 pretty much all evening long, having a heck of a run, but honestly wanting just that little bit more and trying to put yourself up into Victory Lane. Take us back through this race and what's kind of going through your mind right now as you join us as our third place driver up on the podium.
It was kind of taking my time earlier. You know, we have a short stage run. You know, we were kind of running hard, and um, track's very hot. That's the hottest track I've ever raced. And second run, I found some speed, and there was some strategy that other people were playing, and I was hoping for a caution to come out, but with the second stage that was coming, I didn't really push it that much, so I was really saving the whole half of the race because of how hot the track was. But um, towards the end of the run, I lost force feedback, so butter and slick track don't mix.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely makes that car even more of a handful, not having that force feedback, not really being able to feel when that car is trying to slip out and around on you or anything else. So you really got to be on your tippy toes out there on the speedway, man. And that is a tough, tough thing to do and still be as fast as what you're running it with a drive up and stay in position number 3 here to finish off this race and could potentially have been in second if Scott didn't make it there on fuel.
Yeah, he was stretching, and I seen him back off, so I knew he was saving. So me and Christian just kind of ran our normal race. Once I lost force feedback, it's, you know, also from the end, and Christian just kind of went on to win the race. So, we got Sonoma, and that's my favorite track.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's going to be a lot of fun watching you guys obviously make those left and right hand turns until, well, next Friday here on the broadcast and watching you guys duke it out there on the road course. But here tonight, man, it was a heck of a run, heck of a drive for yourself, and being able to park that 78 ride back up on the podium here with the third place finish. Kyle, who would you like to thank for another great run and great performance out there on the racetrack?
I gotta thank my wife for letting me do this each night, and Colton for putting on this series, and you for filming it on YouTube. And my internet's kind of in and out. Appreciate what you guys do, and go on to the next one.
Absolutely, brother. Well, we can't wait to see you guys back in action next Friday night, and hopefully see you right back up here in the broadcast booth, and maybe a couple spots better and back up into victory lane for yourself.
Yep, we'll try again.
Absolutely. Kyle, enjoy the rest of your night.
You too.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our third place finisher, Kyle Gray, as Kyle comes home in position number 3 here this evening. Unfortunately, that will do it for us here tonight. We can't thank you guys enough for tuning in, showing all the love and support here this evening, all the likes, the comments, the shares, everyone coming in with the new followers over on Facebook and Twitch, and any of the new subscribers over there on YouTube. We appreciate each and every single one of you, and can't wait to see you guys back up here in the grandstands, cheering on our drivers next Friday here for the Asheville Outlaws, or even tomorrow night, as we'll be back up here in the booth. We got our premium stock car racing league tomorrow evening for I believe their third last race of the season. It's getting down to the nitty-gritty there, and for that championship, it's going to be a hunt right down to the very end for that championship race in just a few weeks' time. So it's going to be a heck of a run, heck of a race tomorrow night, and hopefully we'll see you guys right back up in the grandstands watching and cheering those guys on. And make sure you guys turn those bell notifications on, that way you never miss it when we take that green flag here on Peacemaker Gaming. But thank y'all for watching, thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace and love, baby. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen.
The engines roar on the blazing sun. Dust flies high when the race is won. The rubber burns on the asphalt plain. Full throttle outlaws breaking the chain. We're the kings of the open track. No looking forward, no turning back. Adrenaline pumping, hearts in the lead. Full throttle outlaws built for speed. Steel beasts crowd the thunderstorm. In the heat of the fight, we take our form. The flag waves high as the green light call. We live for the rush, the rise, the fall. We're the kings of the open track. No looking forward, no turning back. Adrenaline pumping, hearts in the lead. Full throttle outlaws built for speed. Steel beams growl like a thunderstorm. In the heat of the fight, we take our form. The flag waves high as the green light call. We live for the rush, the rise, the fall. We're the kings of the open track. No looking forward, no turning back. Adrenaline pumping, hearts in the lead. Full throttle outlaws built for speed. Racing the night, chasing the glow. Tires screaming with nowhere to go. Victory sweet, but the fight's the prize. For the outlaws, the road never lies. We're the kings of the open track. No looking forward, no turning back. Adrenaline pumping, hearts in the lead. Full throttle outlaws.